Chapter 722, Rock Saintly Being. This chapter is updated by Novels.pl. Dragon 3 glanced at Huang Yanchen and found her appearance fascinating. However, her icy demeanor made him feel uncomfortable. Zhang Yuochen and Di Yi were indeed top-notch talents. They proved their strength by accumulating 30 million military merits in the battlefield of primitive world. Dragon 3 then rudely said, "Unfortunately, they both died unnatural deaths before they were fully developed. They're just short-lived guys." Bang! Huang Yanchen pounded the desk and suddenly stood up. Ice power emanated from her and permeated the entire rock cave. Everybody could see that she was furious. Her royal blue eyes were somewhat red. Obviously, Dragon 3's words had hurt her deeply. Dragon 3 did not care at all. He wore a spurious smile as he said, "So, do you want to fight me?" Huang Yanchen grasped the holy sword tightly with 5 fingers and was about to fight Dragon 3 to the end. Even though she knew that she was no match for him, she would stick it out. Luo Shuaihan, who was sitting next to her, reached out, grabbed Huang Yanchen's wrists, and then shook her head. Everybody could see that all the superiors from the demonic sect did not have friendly intentions. At this point, anybody who rushed forward would have bad luck. Among her peers, Huang Yanchen had first-rate strength. However, who was Dragon 3? He ranked 3rd among 36 palace-keeping beast guardians of the demonic sect. He had been famous for many years. Even Purple Wind Emissary could not withstand a single strike from him. If Huang Yanchen rushed forward to fight him, there was no question what the result would be. Finally, Luo Shuaihan and several other saints were able to dissuade Huang Yanchen. Seeing this, Dragon 3 sneered and said, "Right. The weak must learn to endure. Those who don't know how to endure must suffer." All of the saints from the Saint Academy in the eastern region looked angry. They were obviously displeased with Dragon 3, but no one dared to fight him. After all, Dragon 3 had terrifying power. Even Purple Wind Emissary was seriously injured by his single strike. For other people to attack him would be like eggs striking a rock. Zhang Yuochen turned around and glared at Dragon 3. He touched his spatial ring as he considered whether or not he should strike Dragon 3 and teach him how to be humble. Zhang Yuochen thought for a while and then finally decided to hold back. A lot of people who were familiar with the Zhang Yuochen of old were present. Ordinarily, they might not be able to discover that Lin Yui was Zhang Yuochen. However, if he spared no effort in fighting, he would not have enough energy to disguise himself and he would expose weaknesses. Those who knew him would probably recognize him. The person who knew him best was, of course, Huang Yanchen. If she recognized him, all of his previous efforts would have gone to waste. He would get the chance to teach Dragon 3 a lesson sooner or later. Zhang Yuochen looked at Huang Yanchen, clenched his fist, and sighed secretly. After Zhang Yuochen and Yi died, I haven't been able to find a suitable genius in the cultivation circle in the eastern region to contend with. Dragon 3's humiliating words enraged everyone. Several people wanted to contend with him but were pulled back by others. A sonorous voice resounded in the rock cave. "A palace-keeping beast guardian is so wild and arrogant. Do you really think that nobody in the eastern region can overpower you?" Xu Yanling suddenly stood up, flicked the ash off his skirts, walked out from the crowd, and stood across Dragon 3. Xu Yanling was a saint from the Saint Academy in the eastern region. He had reached the 9th change in the fish dragon realm. Every inch of his skin shone with the glow of colored glaze. He stood straight with his hands behind his back. The saints from the Saint Academy as well as the disciples from every powerful saint family were delighted when they saw Xu Yanling boldly come forward. With his strength, Xu Yanling would certainly able to vindicate the cultivation circle in the eastern region. Unexpectedly, Xu Yanling will launch an attack. This is interesting. He is powerful enough to teach a lesson to the braggarts from the demonic sect. Red Wish Emissary turned her tender body, stared at Xu Yanling, and wore a charming smile. Red Wish Emissary was from the Black Market Excellence Hall and was always fighting against the Saint Academy. However, she was very happy when she saw Xu Yanling stand up. After all, Xu Yanling stood up on behalf of the cultivation circle. All the top talented girls from every powerful saint family in the eastern region fixed their beautiful eyes on Xu Yanling with a look of admiration. Given circumstances, Anyone who went out to fight on behalf of the cultivation circle of the Eastern region was a heroic figure who was worthy of admiration. As a saintly being trained by the Saint Academy in the Eastern region, Xu Yunling is indeed a man of courage. No ordinary man can compare to him. A top-talented girl from a powerful saint family licked her lips gently and fixed her beautiful eyes at Xu Yunling. Obviously, she was attracted to Xu Yunling's temperament. Xu Yunling's rock saintly being is unique in the world. If Zhang Yuochen and Di Yi were still alive, they may not be able to defeat him. A talented man from a top-class sect exclaimed, "Who says nobody can fight a battle on behalf of the Eastern region? Xu Yunling is here." Dragon 3 glanced at Xu Yunling and nodded as he said, "Finally, a decent figure steps forward. Since you're a rock saintly being, I'll contend with you for several strikes." Dragon 3 moved his legs slightly and quickly ran the holy chi inside. He kept a smile on his face, but he was quite cautious. He did not dare to look down upon Xu Yunling. Confronting a saintly being of the 9th change in the fish dragon realm, nobody dared to be perfunctory. Any carelessness could result in a disastrous defeat. A short and thin man came out from behind Dragon 3. He smilingly said, "Third junior brother, you've already fought once. Can you let me fight this time?" The man's mouth stuck out and he had a chin like an ape's. Two big, yellowing teeth stuck out of his mouth. His eyes were tiny like mung beans. He looked very obscene. Dragon 3 looked at the short and thin man, withdrew his holy chi, and took 2 steps backward. "I will let you handle him, then." Seeing this short and thin man, many people looked scornful. How can the demonic sect send such an inferior man to contend with the saintly being of the Eastern region? Are they deliberately insulting the monks from the Eastern region? Even if Xu Yunling defeated him, he would not be able to earn respect for the monks from the Eastern region. Xu Yunling frowned and snorted. "Is there nobody else in the demonic sect? Ouyang Huan, will you not strike personally? You can't contend with the Divine Sun unless you defeat me." The short and thin man giggled and suddenly widened his eyes. His pupils instantly shrank and became as small as a needle. His eyes sent out 2 black light columns that emanated extremely cold evil energy. Due to the black light, the entire rock cave instantly became cold and dark. The short and thin man was surprisingly fast. He turned into a black light and immediately appeared above Xu Yunling. He raised a short arm and hit Xu Yunling's head. It was so fast. Even with his cultivation, Xu Yunling was dazzled and could not see the opponent's figure. He became serious as he realized that he had underestimated the enemy. The short and thin man was a quite formidable superior. As the old saying goes, do not judge a book by its cover. Cloud Sea Rock. Xu Yunling shouted and released his saintly being Dharma Laksana. Suddenly, an intense holy chi flowed out from his body, radiating bright golden light to dispel the surrounding black light. Boom! A golden rock's illusory image appeared in the rock cave. It was about 30 meters long, with a fish body and a pair of giant wings. The rock's illusory image looked like it was roaming in the sea of clouds, exuding an ancient and strong aura. Hey, how did you display the saintly being Dharma Laksana so fast?" The short and thin man laughed strangely and then struck his hand on the saintly being Dharma Laksana, shattering the golden light. The rock's illusory image sank down, uttering sad calls. Rumble. An intense holy chi fluctuation rushed out between Xu Yunling and the man. It swept over the entire rock cave like tidal waves. There were many masters among the talented monks in the Eastern region. They struck out one after another with defensive holy weapons before the powerful impact was finally warded off. Even so, 3 holy weapons and more than 10 talented monks who were not able to withstand this power and were sent flying backward. This showed how terrifying the power that had erupted from the duel was. Bang, bang. Xu Yunling took 7 steps backward before he was able to steady himself and stop. He covered his chest with his hands and glared at the short, thin man in surprise. He asked, "Who are you?" "Ha ha. You don't even know your Uncle Rat. You deserve a good beating." The short and thin man rushed forward, appeared in front of Xu Yunling, and struck 9 times consecutively. Every time he struck, Xu Yunling took a step backward. When he struck for the 9th time, Xu Yunling was sent flying. Xu Yunling's body hit a stone pillar with a bang. Damn! He slid to the ground. With a look of strong indignation, Xu Yunling reached out his hand to wipe off the blood at the corners of his mouth. He endured pain from the 5 internal organs and 6 hollow organs and ran the holy chi once again to control the saintly being Dharma Laksana, hoping to strike back. Swallow. The short and thin man gradually opened his mouth and it became a meter long, like a huge black cave. He inhaled hard and his stomach slowly ballooned. With a swoosh, the rock Dharma Laksana displayed by Xu Yunling flew into the man's mouth and was swallowed into his belly. The man then closed his mouth, clasped his hands, and rapidly performed exercises. A moment later, he had completely assimilated the saintly being Dharma Laksana. How can he eat the saintly being Dharma Laksana?